Welcome to the Access to Success podcast, Project Shine series. I'm your host, Saeed Al-Basha, and joining me to help really make us shine is author and coach Mike Diamond. This is episode 5 of the season, and today we're going to be talking about crushing our inner critic. Whether we know it or not, we all have an inner critic. It's that little voice inside that tells you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, or you're not worthy enough to receive the things in life that seem just out of reach. Look, happiness and success are usually on the other side of what that inner critic is stopping us from doing. That same inner critic is the one we're going to show you how to destroy today. It all starts in the subconscious, the thoughts and ideas that we've accumulated over the years. We're going to go into how to take control of the subconscious mind so that we can silence the inner critic and take ownership of our life and our decisions. Once you're done with this episode, you'll be able to create new habits and new ways of thinking about yourself and the world around you. This stuff is extremely powerful, you guys, and if you can master it, you'll be putting yourself in position to win in every aspect of your life. That's not an exaggeration, that's fact. The most successful people in the world, even though they still have an inner critic, they've learned how to stay in charge even when that inner critic is trying to sabotage their success. So, if you've got an inner critic that's holding you back from your true potential, this is the perfect episode for you. Enjoy. Well, we're back again, and I love today's topic. Today we're going to be talking about crushing that inner critic.
Dismantling it.
Yeah.
Because we all have it.
We do.
We all have
I know I do.
Yeah.
Who is this inner critic, right? Like the inner critic being the voice that says you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough, you're not like these people, you're weird in some way. That inner critic, man, it's a loud voice.
It is, and I think the way I look at it is there's this thing that like map a reality, right? So your map of reality and my map reality is going to be different from what you've experienced. So if you look at a young child, the first 5 years, you're in a theta brainwave, which means your subconscious mind is being programmed by your environment. So the first 5 years, when people say, well, I'm a really good parent, I'm like, okay, that's great. What do you do? Well, I have this playing on the TV. I talk this way. I say these words. I'm like, okay. What we don't realize is that child, we're downloading that program. Now, children are like animals in the sense is a zebra doesn't get bullshitted by a lion because it doesn't get bullshitted by words, right? If a lion could speak, he would say to the zebra, hey, look, dude, last time I overreacted. I swear I won't chase you at the watering hole next time. Yeah. Zebra's like, he seems like a good guy. And the rest of the zebras go, I don't know, he's a fucking lion. He's like, yeah, but dude, I swear to God, he's a good guy. And then all of a sudden, the lionesses kill the zebras.
Yeah.
Right? So we do know that a child can't articulate the words yet.
Right.
So then what do? They have feeling. So our subconscious mind is programmed from that early age. So our environment, what we see, what we hear, and what we feel in that environment is now programming us. So when people say map a reality, right? Everyone's inner critic is different depending on how you were programmed at the start of your life. And you're going to place reference from that map of reality, right?
Yeah.
So certain cultures, you talk a certain way, you say certain things. So you're basing that voice is all that information you're getting in that first 5 years.
That's actually, I've heard that 5-year philosophy before where just because the kids can't articulate the way they're feeling, I mean, a lot of them only know how to cry, but we underestimate how much they understand and how much they're actually deciphering the world around them. These things that are happening around them and how they're translating them into, is this beneficial for me or not? And they still don't know how to, but they're taking in the good and the bad.
So here's the thing. So people say, I can't stand my mother for the way she talked to me. Okay? Mother marries a certain kind of guy. Woman marries exactly the same guy.
Yeah.
Because of the programming.
Is that a comfort level thing, you think? Like, they're comfortable with that?
Well, let me ask you a question. What's your reference?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. So,
do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what's my reference of hard? My reference of hard and your reference of hard are two different things.
Right.
So what are my values? And what are my rules to my values?
Mm-hmm. Two different things.
Because if my reference of hard is 3 push-ups, because I don't exercise, because no one around me exercised, right? And my neighbor, his dad got me exercise. That kid exercised every morning, and he's been doing hundreds of push-ups. So when I say, God, it's hard to do 3 push-ups, he looks at me with his map of reality and goes, did you say 3 push-ups? What's my reference?
Yeah.
So when people say, well, I am a good role model, I'm like, you are modeling behavior by how you choose to say the words you say in that tone. But if you're not congruent in the action, because you can say to a kid, I love you all the time, and beat the shit out of that kid. And what does the kid go? Well, I guess that's love. I get the shit beaten out of me.
It's a correlation. They correlate the action and the words.
Right. Now, every person knows that there is a line and there is a tone that is negative.
Yeah.
Because you can say any word. I could say, you're a real dick.
Well, thanks.
And you go, well, the tone he said it in, I think he's just like being sarcastic. You know what I mean? Or you're a dick.
Yeah.
It's 2 different tones.
Right.
Now, you've got a little kid that's getting all that information. Now, my map of reality, what I grew up with was screaming. I just got screaming in negative. So even though we all have intuition, at the base of my intuition, once you hit 12, 13, hormones start raging, you start getting information from other people. So you may do stuff and challenge yourself or feel things like, and where like people start to judge themselves or their inner critic is like, school, for example. For me, dyslexic, they never picked it up. So I don't learn in the sequence they were teaching. And in the time frame to solve the problems.
Yeah.
So instantly you're dumb.
By their standards.
But if someone would have sat me down and then figured out, because we all learn different, right? Some people are visual learners. Some people hear things. Some people feel things. And their sequence was arranged to solve the problems. They'd go, oh, this guy just has a different sequence.
Yeah.
So we gather information from our environment to start with. And then those voices and that programming become the voices in our head. And now if we were blessed and we didn't have a dysfunctional family and we had positive role models and we had people that inspired us, then when someone says you can't do it, and if you've been programmed by a really positive role model saying, well, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, and let me show you, let me model you, let's take this task and break it down, then your inner critic is probably going to be pretty good.
Right.
He may be a good dude.
Yeah. You're right. The frame of reference, the map of reference, what the foundation is that we built.
Correct.
So let's say we were built around a negative environment, and the inner critic is just always, you're never good enough. You might as well not try. If you try, people will make fun of you because you've been made fun of in the past. And God knows we've all been there,
just
right?
a machine gun of bullshit.
Right. So there's 1,000 reasons why you're telling yourself, or your inner critic is telling yourself not to do something. What do we do so that we take the right action?
Okay. So there's 2 ways we have to look at it. Right now, let me look at, so it's words are 10%, tonality is 35%, action is 55%. Now, the way we talk to people, the words we say, in the tone, right, and the way we talk to ourselves. So there's 2 real philosophies to it. If you are disturbed for some reason, there's a disturbance. It's either you've sensed something from the environment that's triggered it. Say, for example, we're at a restaurant. Let's talk about sensory right now, submodalities. And we walk in and you're not really aware of yourself, but you don't feel right. Now, if you stop and you go, I feel disturbed, right? If anytime you feel disturbed or you feel the voices coming and you try to identify it, maybe a song's playing, right? It's auditory. And it's a song and you stop, you go, oh my God, that song reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. That's triggering an emotion. And most people don't even think of that. They're just like, I feel like this restaurant sucks. But it, you know what I mean? Could meet the waiter. His tone. Have you finished yet? You want to place your orders? Oh my God, that's my dad's tone.
Interesting.
Right? That's going to trigger something buried in the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Right? Different tone, the way I feel. Now, think about it like this. Say at 6 o'clock every night, your dad was a raging alcoholic. He came in, right? And while mum was making dinner, right? Let's go deep in sensory here. The TV's playing and it's some game show, okay? Jeopardy or something, okay? And it was playing at 6 o'clock because mum liked to watch that when she was making dinner. And she liked to cook pasta for dad. And pasta smells a certain way with the sauce. And when dad came in, it was always too loud and he would scream. And because you were the oldest, he beat the shit out of you. And on his hands, he had the smell of nicotine. You got a lot of sensory going on there.
Yeah.
Right? Buried. Right? So you hear Jeopardy. What happens? That's connected to all that stuff. Now, when you look at the inner critic, right? Emotion. The higher the emotion, the bigger the memory. Good or bad? Where were you September 11th?
I woke up and my mom was there watching the news. We were both in awe and shock. But I remember I had work that day. I remember driving to work feeling like, wow, this is a pretty big deal, you know, and I don't know what's going on. Get to work. You know, then the phones were dead silent. There was not a single phone call coming into the office. My coworkers were all talking about it.
I mean, that's detailed shit.
Detailed, yeah.
Where were you a week before?
No clue.
Where were you a week after?
No clue.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the impact that we have emotionally. So if we start feeling things and we become true emotional intelligence is to become aware, self-aware of how we think and feel, right? And I always say you come back to, you know, mindfulness and say, stop, breathe, get out of your fight or flight, get into your prefrontal cortex, then start to ask questions, good questions. Why am I feeling like this? Let's get to the bottom. Now, when you get to the bottom of it and you start pulling that shit up, then you've got to do a little bit of cognitive therapy, Socratic questioning, start going backwards. Why do I feel this way? What is the connection? Once we get that shit up and we're aware of it, then we have to go into the programming. You cannot go into the programming while we're sitting here.
Right.
Because we're in a different brainwave. So what's the easiest way to do it? Well, what's the brainwave that I was programmed? That's a theta brainwave. So I can get into a theta brainwave by doing some kind of meditation, playing certain beats. So if I go into my brainwaves, I can reprogram my subconscious mind. Now, I have to surround my environment. You have to be aware of your environment. Who are these voices? Identify them. That's my dad. That tone, when someone screams, that's my fucking dad. That's my mum. That's the neighbor. That's the kid that bullied me at school. That's my third grade teacher. You start to identify these voices.
It's where did that tone or feeling or where did this originate from? Yeah.
The hear. So then you start to know your triggers. Now, this is really good. So NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, they do a lot of anchors where you anchor yourself and then use things to trigger different emotions. I always use breath as an anchor because if you can stop yourself and regulate your breathing, get in the habit, you can start to go, okay, I can start asking some questions right now and you can observe. So you start observing what was the feeling, identify the feeling, and like I feel disturbed. Well, what do you feel disturbed? What is it if you're in the restaurant, say, or you're on a date, and what is it about this person? What is it about this place? And you say, oh, shit, it is the fucking music that reminds me of this, or it's the movie I'm watching. God, because 99% of the time, if I meet someone and I get that feeling, like that reminds me of my old acting teacher who was a total goddamn douchebag. I don't like this person. This
and
guy has a very...
Trigger that subconscious...
It triggers. You feel it. But you've got to identify with it. Now you have to ask yourself, okay, what do I want to do with this? Because they're mine emotions. They're not yours. They're mine. And based on my map of reality or your map of reality, that's why I always come back to where am I going? If you can see where you're going, then you can start to work your inner critic and those voices, and you can change those voices.
Yeah.
By what you choose to see, hear, right? How you choose to think, how you choose to feel. Then you start to master yourself. But we always go worst case.
Always. It's the easier path because it stops us from the pain of trying and failing.
So we go even further now.
Yeah.
2 basic things. I'm trying to avoid pain and gain pleasure. Freudian. It's all it is. I want to avoid some kind of pain. Now, how about it's like this? I'm in a relationship. This person mistreats me, and it reminds me of repeating a cycle here because I don't have self-love because I've never got self-love. So what we haven't received at the start, we're going to look for. Right? If no one hugged us, we want a hug. If we were hugged all the time, I got plenty of fucking hugs. Don't need a hug.
Yeah.
If everyone patted us on the back, we don't need any pats.
Don't need any more.
But if we didn't get shit, so whatever we didn't get at the start, that little inner child of ours is fucking screaming out, like, give me some shit here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We've heard about the guy who needs a hug kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, you're like, this guy just needs a hug.
Right.
Right? So it's like whatever you didn't receive at the start, you're going to look for in your relationships, right? And anyone that says they didn't come from a dysfunctional family, we all have some kind of dysfunction.
Something.
It's just everyone has dysfunction because to be present and to be aware and to be constantly monitoring our behavior, to be socially and emotionally intelligent and prime ourselves constantly, it's a lot of fucking work. So everyone's flawed. We're all flawed. It's just that to what degree can we find balance? So when we start to go into this program, we have to first of all ask ourselves, not everything we received was bad. So we flip it on its head. My dad was it's a perfect example. I was pushing my baby the other day in the stroller, around a 10-miler with him, right? I'm not bullshitting you. A lady stopped me. She was about 300 pounds. She had 2 kids, so probably 7 or 8, sucking down like lollipops, big kids. Borderline obese, no judgment. She said, you're going to hurt your baby pushing him that much. Her perception is that I am going to hurt the baby pushing it.
You're causing some sort of harm.
Yeah. I don't judge her.
Sure.
But from wherever her base of reality is now, there's a difference. When I leave that, I can sit there all day talking shit about her. But I don't.
It's not useful.
But that's our inner critic.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that bitch know? You know what I mean? That's the voice. That's that reminds me. So I stop it. I'm like, wow, so you've got to flip it. You have to start being curious and interested in yourself in a positive way. Going, wow, I'm giving myself a hard time today. I'm beating myself up.
Yeah.
And then there's certain things, right? So you're in a bad relationship. The person screams at you. You feel immobilized. Why do you stay in the relationship? Better the devil you know, right? So you're afraid, right? You'll be alone. You'll never find anyone. So in all the billion people out there, you're not going to find someone to synchronize with. So you lower your frequency as a human being and you connect with someone on a lower frequency, right?
Yeah.
So if you walk around with that lower frequency, who are you going to attract? People with low frequencies.
Exactly.
Right, but if you change your state and say, I'm drawing a lot, there's certain behaviors we will not accept. My values are, I won't accept you to talk to me in that tone, right? Or I just will leave, right? I won't. So that's the fear, going back to the fear, managing the fear. No, I won't accept that. Now, if you draw a line in the sand and you draw a line in the sand of what you're saying to yourself and you change that tone and you change those voices, and you start looking at some really good role models and getting around some really positive people that are doing great stuff, you say, hey, dude, this inner monologue has got to stop. I got to get myself, in shape here mentally.
Yeah.
I just beat myself up. Oh, you did this. Okay, so and here's another thing. So what people don't understand is someone said to me the other day, you failed so much, but you can always come back. I'm like, where did I fail? I said, I may have gone in a direction and wanted a certain outcome and didn't get the result I desired. So I changed my approach.
Yeah. You readjusted your direction.
And well, that's not a failure.
Yeah. Well, you can count, a lot of people count their lives and endeavors in a win or a loss.
It's not.
You don't win or lose. You either win or you learn.
Absolutely.
And if you could take away the lessons from that, whatever it may be, let's say an ultimate failure. This is something that everybody's afraid of. They're scared to take a chance in opening a business because what if that business fails? Okay. Failure being you didn't get enough clients to sustain a business model. You didn't grow. You didn't make the income that you had hoped for, and therefore you lost your life savings.
Okay.
Most people would define that as a failure. So what's the reframe in that? What do we take away from that?
Let's look at it like this. Okay. If you go into that business and you have looked at the business, right? Every great success, every great turning point came in usually a depression, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone, like big movers and shakers go, well, no one's buying. I'm going to buy while it's low.
The Warren Buffett approach.
Do you see? So
Yeah.
everything is perspective. And you have to come back to changing that inner voice, that inner critic into, if you can, I always do it like this. So I go out for a run and my body takes a while to adjust because I'm doing the training. Other day I'm running with the baby. I change one supplement. No, all jokes aside, halfway through I'm like, I'm not going to make it home. Pushing the baby. I crap my pants. Now, in my brain, I don't have any shame with that. That's why I talk about it. So people, if someone's listening, goes, dude, if this guy can do it, I'm not going to be embarrassed because I don't want people to be embarrassed if you have a bowel disease and if you crap pants. So fucking what? Used to crap my pants when I was a kid. I have to clean diapers all day. I pick up dog shit.
Sure.
So what? Right?
Yeah.
That my inner critic doesn't even bother me. This is where my mind goes. You know what? I'm going to go home, change my pants, have a shower, and finish the run. And how good I'm going to feel to know that I can do that. And most people won't.
Yeah.
Then what I'm going to do is get references. And then I start looking up, look up bowel disease. I forget the colitis. I get that out of my head because like attracts like. So I get away any kind of victim and I look up marathon runners and runners. And I go on this great blog and the guy said, if you're going to do an Ironman or do extreme running, because I'm doing extreme running, you're going to have stomach issues.
Wow.
Because you can only eat a certain amount of calories and digest them and your stomach's going to kick back. So what do? I've got my reference. So now I go on some images. I'm a visual guy and I see actual people breaking records and unfortunately they've had accidents on themselves in front of thousands of people and it's on Google Images. Hey, no one saw me do it.
Right.
So you see what I'm saying? I kill that negativity by getting references. So if I have an approach and I attempt something and I wanted a certain outcome, then I get references of people that have faced the adversity and I only live in those references and those role models. And that way, you remember, it's association. I can turn down that voice and turn up the positive.
Yeah.
And it's habit. If you get in the habit of turning down that negative, keep turning it down, getting aware of it. And then only listening to shit that primes you, that makes you positive, that brings you closer. Because remember, you're trying to walk away from pain, avoid it, and get pleasure. But people are afraid of the unknown. So they would rather sit in the pain, right? Because, but what about this? If there's more pain if I'm alone, but I'll accept this person beating the shit out of me because the voice is all fucked up. Instead of saying, I have these values and principles. No way. Not going to happen on my watch. Don't talk to me like that. Don't treat me like that. Respect me. These are my rules for respect. So if you have values, then you shut that voice down. You flip it.
Yeah.
And you keep flipping it.
there's an interesting takeaway with that, and a lot of people have heard the fact that you are the accumulation of the 5 people you hang around with the most.
Yep.
And so what these people are saying and doing and accomplishing or not accomplishing in their lives is what your frame of reference is. Yep. And what you talk about. So it's interesting that you go outside of that and you're actually looking for the images and examples of the people who have faced adversity and triumphed. So you're programming your brain to know that it's possible.
Always possible.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have to live on. We have to live on possibility. Because, like, remember I showed you that video of the guy in the 72 Olympics that was last with a hat on that looked like a fucking plumber.
Yeah.
That wins. Then I go online and see a guy that ran marathons and he's got stubs for hands and feet. He's running on fucking stubs. All right, so I got a little bit of a sore stomach.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I go that deep into, because I don't worry about what's in front of me. I think greater than my environment. If my goal is that big, then I want to achieve it. And I have such a clear purpose and vision that I just go and I look at who's doing it and how they're doing it. And I look at how they talk to themselves. I study it. Because that's how I survived. Because when I came, I didn't have anything positive around me. Mm-hmm. I just had negative. I just had you're stupid. I just had you'll end up a failure. I just had you are a loser. The best job you'll get would be going to a racetrack and shoveling poo into barrels. Like, that's how people spoke to me. And I literally looked at them and said, you don't fucking know what's inside me. Right? I can do anything I put my mind to. And then I would just hear a story. And I'm different in the sense of I will literally, if I hear one story and you're human and I track the story and you're a normal dude and you achieved extraordinary shit, then I cancel out everything else. I go, if that person do it, I can do it. I am that disciplined to listening to that kind of stuff because I didn't have those 5 people.
Yeah.
I was never going to have those 5 people. I had to create those 5 people in my head. And that's what got me out of the small town mentality. That's what got me away from the bad influences. Because if I stayed in that mentality, I'm definitely in jail, 150% right now. I'm definitely dead, right, from the drugs and alcohol I was consuming. I would have thought that dyslexia was a learning disability, but it's just the sequencing on how I learn, right? I change the sequencing. Now I can read 2 books a week and I remember everything and then I apply everything because if I read it and I believe it, I fucking do it.
Yeah.
Right? So my PhD is life. I'll go out and prove it. And then how I want to inspire people is like, okay, look, I am going to close the gap real quick. Like, what's that? I'm like, I'll do something that seems impossible. I'll take on a task I'll take the big task and I will just be so microscopic, but I'll have a blueprint. So if I see someone do it within the area that I think is possible, I just kill all doubt. So I literally get that voice. I just turn it down, turn down the volume. And I turn up the volume of what makes me happy.
Yeah. And it's been through habit that you've created this. If we're starting on our journey today, we're in the habit of defaulting back to that negative critic and the one that's going to doubt us. So if I want to do better. Like I'm in here, I'm like, I'm going to start my journey today. And I'm looking at social media and YouTube videos of people accomplishing extraordinary things. Mm-hmm. My first thought or my first default is, well, that's them. That I can't do that. That's not me. I can't wake up that early. I can't run that far. I can't, whatever the accomplishment is.
I would first of all say, where am I right now? And first of all, let's look at basic desires. Pleasure and pain principle. We all want happiness. And then you have to look at what's happiness to you. You want fulfillment. Everyone wants some kind of fulfillment. You want some kind of balance. Everyone wants to make some kind of money. So you want some kind of purpose. So you get the basics down. Then you say, okay, where am I right now? Forget I don't give a shit what you have. Fuck the resources. Be resourceful. It's all inside us. The information comes from the source energy. Yeah. Infinite intelligence. You have to ask the right questions to get the right answers. So you say, what do I want and why? That's the first thing you do. Why don't I have it right now? Well, it's happiness. Okay. Well, what makes me really happy? Forget the fucking money, because if you have $1 million, you have 1 million problems. You have to be happy now without the money. The money is the value you give it. Yeah. So you could have $3 million and be depressed. You're like, why? Well, I thought I wanted $5 million. So you got $3 million in the bank and you're pissed. Well, you could have $1 and be happy. Like, dude, I got $1. I can buy coffee.
Yeah.
That's a resourceful state.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
That's an interesting take on it because of the fact that you're looking at that now and what you have in front of you and the opportunities.
Be grateful and appreciative. Right. All right. So now I go, okay, I want to see what I want. And I'm going to, if my approach of what I've been doing doesn't work, which is I'm unhappy, I have a job that sucks, I'm in the wrong relationship, I fucking hate my boss, I don't like my car, so all these things. So I manifested it, right? Because there's enough information out there to show you that a person can come from anywhere and turn shit around. So my belief system's fucked up because it's pessimistic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a flexible mindset, right? A growth flexible mindset, and I'm going to flip it over. So every time I have a pessimistic thought or a pessimistic attitude, I'm going to flip it and say, you know what? That's the old me. So what I do is I go and create a manifesto for myself. Some values and some principles, right? And I look at it. And even if it's someone else's manifesto that they're impressed with, okay, get that role model. And then I start. And I forget everything I've done before because it hasn't worked. And I start every day by cultivating new habits. If I want to succeed at a certain level, then it means getting up at 4 a.m. Oh, I can't. Bullshit. I'm going to. Every can't I turn into, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And gather as much information from what's out there to inspire me to just keep getting it down. So look at it like this, right? And like I say, yesterday's food doesn't keep us full today, right? So it doesn't matter what I did today. If I ran 30 miles today, just today, I didn't, but say I did, and I never ran ever again, what did it fucking matter?
Irrelevant.
If I ate just today, and I was like, I'm going to stop eating. I'm going to stop doing all these things. What happens? Nothing. That's why kids that are good in high school, does it mean shit?
No.
Look, let's look at it like this. Tom Brady, wasn't he the last draft pick?
He was in the 200s, I think, right, of the draft.
So if I had a crystal ball and I go, that guy is going to be probably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And I bet my house on it because I had a crystal ball. And everyone was like, yeah, I'll take that bet. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
So that means that there's a testing ground that they use, right? But is it correct? It can't be.
Yeah.
Because how did he slip through the cracks?
Exactly.
And now they've changed it. Now, how about this? The average, we'll end on this, about inner critic and inner dialogue to shift your perception about what's possible, right? So you get inside of, I can do anything if someone else can do it. I don't play basketball. What would be the average height of a basketball player?
6'3", 6'4".
All right. So let's just, it is, right? They're pretty tall.
Actually, I take that back. That's point guard, smaller guard.
So what would
let's say 6'6" to 6'10".
Okay. So let's say the average is, let's just be really low. Let's say it's 6 foot.
Okay.
Which is low, right? So if you're 6 foot, if it's 6'2", so if you're 6 foot, they're going to look at you like, yeah, he's too short to play, right? How the fuck did Spud Webb at 5'7" win a dunk contest and play for the Atlanta Hawks?
Yeah.
So that guy was 5'7". That means he was shorter in high school. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what's possible?
Anything.
So do you think that guy's inner critic was saying you can't play?
Guaranteed no.
Do you think Tom Brady was sitting there when everyone goes, you suck. You suck. You barely got picked. He's working when no one else is seeing him work.
Right.
And he's waiting for his fucking opportunity. And guess what? The other quarterback got injured. And what happens? He fucking shines.
He was ready.
You've got to be ready.
Yeah.
So that's why you never listen to anyone else. You go inside, you gather the information, you have your role models, and you fucking focus. Because it's never too late to shine.
Yeah.
And you can always shine. But you have to talk to yourself in a way that kills that negative. Because it's all bullshit anyway. There's enough information. So you only, look, if you eat McDonald's all day, you're going to feel like shit. You're going to look like shit. Right? So if you talk to yourself negatively, you eat shitty foods, you don't exercise, but you want to, and you don't build any rapport with anyone, you're not willing to work, but then you go, I want to travel around the world and I want a beautiful house, and I hate people that have that.
There's nothing that's going to come out that. Yeah.
But if you flip that and go, okay, so what is that guy actually doing to be a success? I'm just going to follow what he's doing.
Right. The blueprint's already there.
I'm just going to follow it. You know, you go down the street and you see a block of land, you buy a bunch of wood, and you go to a specialist, a carpenter and different builders. What kind of house do you want? I don't know. Are you sure about that? They build you an I don't know kind of house. You go back and you complain. You're like, what's this? You're like, you said I don't know.
Right.
You don't go to a fucking chef and say, well, I got some ingredients. Well, what do you want? What kind of cake do you want? Kind of a carroty kind of thing. And you're probably going to get a carroty kind of thing, and you're going to eat it and be pissed off, but you weren't specific.
Right.
So get specific with the voice. Then turn it down. Identify it. Because you have to be. So cognitive therapy, Socratic questioning, what's the voice? Is it getting closer to my purpose? Because if you have a purpose, if you have the things that you want, you know if you're going to get them by how you're feeling, how you're thinking, how you're acting, and your approach, right? And then, like you said, kill anything to do with can't. Can't is bullshit. You can if you're willing to.
Right.
Success is simple. Do the work, no matter how you feel, and then know exactly what you want and work out the price you're willing to pay to get it.
Beautiful. My man.
All right?
Mr. Mike Diamond.
My brother.
Love it, man. All right, that's it for today. If you guys found a benefit from this episode or learned something new, make sure you share it with your friends and family. And also, share the feedback with us. Let us know what you guys got out of it. It's so gratifying to hear that someone learned something new or somebody benefited from the content we're sharing. So either tag myself or Mike Diamond. You guys can find both of our Instagram links in the show notes. We'd love to hear back from you and love to hear what you think of the show. So until next time, I love you all, and I'll see you on the next episode.